So, thank you, Biljana. So the goal of this meeting is to showcase and validate the SoilWise prototype for the research community concerned with soil data and knowledge. Indeed, SoilWise, very briefly, is one place to look for your data and knowledge about soil. It aims at improving the search, the standardization, and the findability of the soil information according to the FAIR principle. So the goal is particularly to demonstrate SoilWise in order to know if the platform matches your needs and if it can facilitate your day-to-day needs whenever you're looking for information about soil. So here is the summary of this webinar. We will first start with a presentation of the overview of the SoilWise project and connection to other initiatives. Then we'll go to the demonstration part, where we will have two demonstrations, one testimony from Xavier Rotllan of LifeWatch from the Soil Mission Soil project. It will be about, of course, the usage of SoilWise, and another demonstration where we will have an interactive session to know your feedback about the functionalities. Then we will discuss about SoilWise, about the functionality that you will see. And after this question and answer session that will last maximum 30 minutes, we will move to the next talk about the communication, the importance of engagement and ways to interact with the project, and how to provide feedback on SoilWise usage. And then we will close the meeting with another Menti question to know more about your needs. So now I'm going to give the floor to Fenny. So I will stop my sharing here. And Fenny, if you can introduce yourself before starting your presentation. Thank you.
Of course. My name is Fenny van Egmond. I work at ISRIC, World Soil Information, and I'm part of the SoilWise project as well. And we would like to just provide a brief introduction of what SoilWise is, what we do, and what are the main things. First of all, can you see my screen correctly? Like this? Yes? Okay. Then very briefly, the reason why we got started as a project is because we really wanted to make life easier for every one of us. So at the moment, there are some databases, there are some repositories that you can use to find data or knowledge about soils. But very often it is a little bit like you see here, and Céline actually made this picture. So if you ask Google or another repository to find a data set about soil, water content, agroforestry, a lot of the time it is really not to the point. So even when you find your data, it is difficult to access it, the actual data, and let alone combine it easily. So usually it's in all different shapes and sizes and data formats, and that's complicating life, to say the least. An answer to that would be FAIR, so findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. These are principles that are used in the geodomain, but also in the informatics domain. And if we apply that, we think we can improve on this topic. So the aim of SoilWise is really to develop, test, and deliver a prototype for a long-term knowledge and data repository within the context of EU and EU soil mission projects. So we are also a soil mission project, like many of you. We started in September, well, 1.5 years ago already. We have about 15 partners, and we're a 4-year project. So this is actually most of the outline. You could summarize like that. So a lot of us are data providers who either write scientific papers or have a project database, or both. So you have a scientific paper about a project database or a data set or something else. And at some point, once that's written, once you have put your knowledge into that, then it goes to a persistent repository. So that can be your own university repository, can be a national one, can be institutional, can be Zenodo, can be whatever. And then we would like to somehow make that accessible also at EU level. So what we are building is a metadata catalog, so data about data that makes you find the data sets and the knowledge that you're looking for. And then that can be used also to make dashboards and everything. And these last 2 bits will be taken up by the EU Soil Observatory, hosted by the GRC at some point, probably after project, but that's something that we're working towards to really make one access point for soil data and knowledge in Europe. So what does that look like? It has a couple of components. I'll just go very briefly because you will get a lot more information from Céline and from Xavier. So we have a metadata catalog that you see here, where you can search in different ways, and then you get an overview of the resources that are available. If you click on one of those records, you can see a preview of that data set, some explanation, some keywords, where to access it, how to download it, where it's located. You have that in a certain data format, and we also provide tools like Hill Studio to transfer from one data format and data model to another one, like Inspire or your national data system. To be able to do that, we are also working on vocabulary, so a common terminology that is human readable, so by us researchers and also by computers. So it's easier to link those data sets automatically and combine them. And then that can also feed into a dashboard or something else. That's not something that we're building, but it's something that we want to provide for. On the top right, you can already see the location of the first prototype. And we would really like to say this is still under construction. So we are now just under 2 years into the project, and we're actually having this session also to really understand from you what you need, so we can adjust what we're building to what is needed by researchers for researchers, and take it from there and tune it into that direction. So just to be clear, what we would like to do is to provide a single access point to soil data and knowledge, to index what is available, to establish maybe a catalog federation, which means that everyone keeps their own catalog, their own location, but we just provide an access point. And the ultimate aim is to make data and knowledge life easier. What we will not do is to copy or store any data. Also not control or steal or anything or use your data without your permission. So this is just about accessibility. This is not about ownership. Ownership always remains at the project, at the researcher, at the institute where it was made. So actually what we would like to do is to find a way where this can be mutually beneficial for everyone involved, for all the stakeholders. That's the Mission Soil projects, that's researchers, but that's also other stakeholders, that's also USO. And very many of us are both a data provider and a data user, or one of them. And for both roles, this should work. So what we're looking at is a European landscape where we are, as a project, a builder, as it is, that we're trying to build a SoilWise repository that could feed into the EU Soil Observatory that is led by the European Commission, and the interaction with all of the Mission Soil projects, so that's you and many others. That is essential to make this useful, and we do a lot of the communication for that in this Mission Soil cluster on knowledge and data management. So if you are a project in the Mission Soil and you're not yet linked to that cluster, please subscribe, because it's a very easy way to communicate. And the last sentence, the open air link below, already gives you some how-tos on how to go about fair data provisioning for researchers in Europe. So that was my part. Over to you, Céline.
Okay, thank you a lot, Fenny. Before leaving your screen, okay, can you just go to the next slide? Thank you. Then I will take the opportunity to introduce Xavier Rotllan now, who is a stakeholder of the Mission Soil project, so Soil project, and who is going, so please next slide, Fenny, to display a demonstration of the SoilWise repository digging into soil and subsoil data using SoilWise in the Soil project. So thank you a lot to Xavier for your participation. The floor is yours, and can you just introduce yourself before starting? Thank you.
Okay, so good afternoon. Thank you, Céline, and thank you all for the opportunity to participate in this workshop. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope it works and you can see it now. So as said, my name is Xavier Rotllan, and I work at LifeWatch ERIC. For those of you that doesn't know it, LifeWatch is a research infrastructure where we are providing services to scientists investigating biodiversity and ecosystem functions. At LifeWatch, we work in different, we're involved in different projects, and one of them is subsoil. In subsoil, we try to understand the subsoil threats and risks, and by protecting these subsoils to support the agroecological transition in Europe. So one of the tasks that, or one of the jobs that we had to do in subsoil was to look for and to find existing data relevant for the project. So mainly related to subsoils. And when we got to know this SoilWise, so we thought that it could be very useful for us. So we gave it a try. And what we did was, well, we make a search by using different strategies, let's say. So the first strategy was, okay, so we need data for subsoils or related to subsoils. So we just put it here, the word subsoil, and to see what happened. So, okay, we got 300 results, which is quite a lot. So we try to filter it using the facets. So I'm going to reply to redo what I did already, yeah? So that you can see all the steps. So when filtering, we were interested in datasets. So we went to datasets. We got still 116, which is quite a lot. But anyway, we could start looking at them and to see if any of them was relevant for us. So we could check, for instance, this one. And okay, global soil organic carbon estimates in subsoil. So, okay, interesting or potentially interesting. So here we could find a link to download and some other links, probably to SDAC, where the data probably is, or at least the metadata. We still could refine a little bit more our search here, because we still have a lot of results. So okay, we tried with carbon. Let's see what happens in carbon. What are the data sets in here? So we got 2 data sets. Actually, to be honest, a bit too much local for what we need in subsoil. But anyway, still 2 results. So that was our first strategy for searching. The second one, a bit different. So within the project, we first, let's say, we pre-selected some projects that could be relevant and that could have information already published that we could use, some data. We got like 20-something projects. They were basically or mainly Horizon Europe projects or Horizon 2020 and other programs. We checked for several. For instance, this one, AI for soil health. It seemed relevant. And yes, it was. We had 58 results. So potentially interesting. These are documents, not data. So it should be a matter of checking what's in there. So something in Zenodo. So probably something important, interesting for us. I can show you another one. Let's go back. So another one could be iSoil. There's another project. This is an older one, but still it could be relevant. So yes, 6 results. If we look at this one, for instance, which is at the JRC, so We have a link to the ISOL project. Okay, so I could say that with these two strategies, we got good results. And for us, at least, the SoilWise was useful in this sense. But then, subsoil data is not very common. So previously, I knew beforehand the Lucas data set, which I think it was relevant for the project. And I asked myself, so I was wondering, okay, could I use SoilWise to find Lucas data if I didn't know it previously? So let's give it a try. So I started by topsoil because I know that Lucas is topsoil data. We got 600 and something results, which is a lot. Even if we filter them, there are lots of them, so I have to refine somehow my search. So I tried, okay, I know that Lucas is a EU survey, so let's see what happens here. So 94 results is still a lot. Even if I filter using facets by data sets, let's wait a couple of seconds until it searches it. Okay, data sets, still 63, which is still quite a lot, too much, probably too many results to check. So let's refine a little bit more. I know that there is, that in Lucas, they are collecting data about soil biodiversity. So let's try it. So echo, bingo. So we have 4 data sets, and the last one is the Lucas data. So that's great because I could see how SoilWise it's working if you are able to refine a little bit the search. And that's it. I think that's the example that I wanted to show you today. I'm going to stop sharing and back to you, Céline. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Xavier. It was a very nice testimony indeed. Very interesting to see how we can find indeed this kind of data, especially for projects. So now I'm going to share my screen again. So just give me 2 minutes. So is that okay? Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. And so now we are going to move to the next part of the demonstration with this time an interactive session with that demonstration, a demonstration coming from a study about fertilization. And for this, before changing my screen, that's the reason why I don't pass in full screen yet, I will ask you to go onto menti.com and either to write this code or to scan this QR code with your cell phone, because we will go through the SoilWise repository showing the functionalities, and at the same time of the demonstration, we will ask you several questions. So I let several seconds the screen for you to scan the QR code or to enter the Menti website. And then we will go back on SoilWise repository. Okay, so here is the repository. So if you want to access to the SoilWise repository, the URL is the one that we indicated onto the slide. So you have it here. And so the landing page is this one. So you have on this landing page the main component, the catalog one here, as displayed by Xavier, but also the knowledge graph experimental function in blue. And you also have the news from the Mission Soil projects on the right, for example, with the demonstration event of SoilWise. So if you want to make a query about several keywords, so there is further possibilities. So either You can check by soil functions, for example, by clicking by the function you want, or soil indicators, or resource type. Also, it's a kind of resource that we will find onto the repository. And if we click on, or you can, go in the search bar and enter the keyword. And if we go on view all records, then we will see all the records that are currently founded by SoilWise. So you have a total of about 20,000 results. So that's the results that are harvesting by the different, that are found by harvesting the different source repositories. And because SoilWise does not aim at storing data, it just harvests the source repositories or data and knowledge. So now let's say that I'm a researcher, that I want, for example, to understand the growth mechanism of a plant and the effect of phosphorus, for example, fertilization. So I need data about experiment fertilization involving phosphorus. So if I need that, and I want to find the data about this, so I'm going to write fertilization experiment in the search bar. I click on search. And then I will have the results appearing. So we're going to wait a little bit. Here are the results. And so this is the list of the catalog. So as you can see, the results are displayed by different categories, such as the title of the result, the organization that managed the publication, the type of resource, and the date of publication, knowing that the date of publication corresponds to the publication onto the source repository, but it can also correspond to the last update of the resource on the source repository. And you also have here a sort by button, which proposes you to sort the results either by title. In that case, you could find the results by alphabetical order, either by date of publication on the source repository. So now we would like you to take your Menti and to answer to the first question. And the first question, so is it okay with the Menti? Thank you, Fenny. And the first question is, among the categories characterizing a record of the catalog, which one would you remove? Between the organization, do you need the organization to know the organization? Do you need, would you remove the type of document or the date or none? Or is everything useful? So we'll add several seconds for this question. And then, okay, we will move to the next question. So the next question is, which category would you add? For example, if there is someone very important that could clarify some information for you, is there a new category that you would add with the 4 that are already cited? So you are free also not to answer to the question if you don't have any idea, if you think it's okay like this. Yes, for example, we have sort by authoritative or high values data set, indeed. It can be also localization, scale, resolution, keyword. There is a nice ideas. So I let several seconds for you to answer this question. Okay, thank you. So we will go to the next question. So to come back this time on the sort by date button functionality, is the sort by date useful for you or not? Will you use it for your research or not especially? And we have the same question right after with the sort by title. So first sort by date. Is it useful? And I will add several seconds. Okay, and sort by title, same question. Will you use that in your experience of data user on SoilWise? Okay, thank you. And now, also for the sort by option that you have here, is there any other ranking criteria in sort by that would be relevant to identify the information? For example, sort by authoritative or governmental source. Okay, I see size, type. Do you have any other proposition in the sort by rank? Sort by location, good idea indeed. Okay, location, country. Okay, so I see that there is a high amount of location, scale, relevance, amount of data. Okay, so now we will move to another functionality. So I will let this question, and now we will move to another kind of functionality. It is the spatial filter. So here, as you can see, you have the map preview, and all the blue rectangles are corresponding to the bounding box of a given resource. So here in this fertilization experiment query, we have 700 results, and the 700 boxes are surrounding each other. So that's the reason why you cannot see them very accurately. But when you switch on the spatial filter, you just have to switch it on here. You will have a green rectangle, which corresponds to the selecting box. And so let's say I want to select the little blue area here to see which results I do have related to this location. I just have to click to apply once I have set the bounding box. And from 700 results, I will filter the results, and I will have only 71. And another thing is that once you have done with your bounding, with your selecting zone, you can see the other bounding box. And for a given box, you can click on it, and it will give you the reference to access directly on the resource page corresponding to the box where you have clicked on. So for example, this one was linked to this resource. So I'm going to go back on the spatial filter. And now that I displayed the spatial filter, I would like you to take back your Menti and to answer to several questions. First one, would you be interested in displaying the map scale of the map or the resolution? Would it be helpful for you to have such information? So I see that mostly yes, it will be useful. So I'm going to reset the spatial filter and to move to the next question. And how would you like to search for the spatial data coverage? It means how would you like to select the geographic area of your resource? So like it is now by drawing a rectangle box, for example, or would you prefer to draw a polygon of your area of interest, because now we can just draw a rectangle, or a code list with states and regions, or a full text search with the keywords, by keywords with the place names? So I see that drawing polygons of your area of interest is requested, but code list with states too. So now we'll move to the next question. So a free question: do you have any other feedback or suggestions about this spatial filter? So, for example, is it not user-friendly? Do you have any proposition for another kind of usage, or maybe for the Zoom, let's say? A bit larger, okay. To be able to enlarge the window, that's a good point, indeed. Because indeed, currently, the map is fixed at this size. Okay, we have used standardized way to interact like with GeoJSON. Map should be resizable. Okay, so thank you a lot for this proposition. And now we are going to move to another kind of facet filter, which is, so if you want, to have the facet filter, so you have to switch on this button, and you will have the facet filter appearing. So the facet filters are another way, are also a way of discovering your data and knowledge on SoilWise. So when you switch the facet filters on, you will have different class of facet filters. You will have the type of resources, such as journal papers, data sets, web services, and you will have more thematic topics into this facet, such as soil chemical properties, for example, or biological properties. And you can see that in the circle just in black, after each term, you have the number of search results having a given facet filter term into their keywords. So now let's say that I want to find a given type of document, of resources. I will just have to click on the right document. So now on your Menti, a question about the facet type is: what are the most important types of resources that you will need to see? For example, when you are looking for data or knowledge in soil, do you need, for example, models? Do you need softwares? Do you need educational material? Any source of knowledge? So the document, the spatial filter, to come back on the spatial filter, because I have a question on this, it is available for all the kind of resources, whatever the resources. It can be surrounding the box of a data set, of any resources where we have geographic information available. Okay, so I see that there is a lot of ideas for the types of resources that you will need to see. Thank you. And now I'm going to go a little bit further into this demonstration, because let's say that I need any data about fertilization experiment in phosphorus, with phosphorus. So I'm going to click on phosphorus here in the soil chemical properties to select only the results of resources having phosphorus in the keywords. So we have to wait a little bit. So there should be 18 search results with phosphorus. So here are those results. So you can see that the results are as well journal paper. You can also have documents, data sets. And now if I want to go more in details and to find among these results the ones that are data sets, I can see here that there is one result. I just click on the data set term of the type filter. And then I will find a given data set, this one. So just before going further, you can take your Menti, and we are going to have a little question for you. Indeed, you will see that among the facet filters, the thematic facet filters, not the type 1, you have different categories. You have soil chemical properties, biological, physical properties. So among these categories of filters that are displayed, which ones are useful for you? Is this all useful or not? Just indicate it on the Menti. So I let several seconds. And of course, you can click on show more if you want to have more type of chats. And as we are here in a prototype development, really, if you have feedback about it, we will explain you how to let us the feedback so that we can improve the prototype. So I see that we still have answers. So the soil chemical properties is a more ranked one. The soil management too. So you have also soil classification, soil functions, soil treats, processes, soil management, and ecosystem services. Okay, so we are going now to move to the next question of the Menti. And if there is a category of facet filter that we did not introduce, can you add it? Which one would you add? So you can indicate here on the Menti. So there is propositions of soil risk to erosion, crop, for example. So soil farming, biodiversity, land use. We have ideas about soil water content too, soil moisture, soil depth. Okay, and we will move to the next part. Since we are talking about these topic terms, these thematic terms, a little side question about your usage. Do you use glossaries or vocabularies? Is it in your usage, this kind of practices? And if you answer yes to that question, the next one will be, of course, to indicate which kind of glossaries or vocabularies. So I let several seconds and I switch to the next question. Okay, and so if you answered yes, can you give examples of the kind of vocabularies, glossaries that you are using? Okay, so if there is no specific examples, I see we are going to move. Okay, we start to have the answers. So we have Inspire, Agrovoc, INRAE Thesaurus. Okay, Agrovoc 2, Inspire 2. Okay, so we will move to the next question. So here you have, so we discussed about the scientific terms. So now we go back on the catalog page that you have here onto the screen. So the catalog page is a list of all the search results. And so which other information of the catalog would you like to see on the catalog page? Is there any information missing? Knowing that we have the title, we have the facets for the filter, we have the map preview. Is there anything else that should be relevant to help you in your experience of data user on SoilWise? Our guidelines, yes. That's a good answer. Guidelines, who are working on this. Authors. We will see that authors are just behind this page, actually. Okay, so I will go back to the datasets I found just before. So about phosphorus. So to end this demonstration, we are now going to see the search results of a given dataset. And we will see how to extract the data. So I click on phosphorus on datasets. On the dataset of interest, where you can see that you have the map preview, you have the title, the abstract, you have the keyword indicated by the authors, and the authors are just behind. Just here, you have their email, the formats of the data, the rights, you have also the language. And if you click on each keyword, it will lead to another search with the keywords that you have selected. But the most important here is that the source repository that is written here, this dataset comes from Bonares, and the source to the link. The link to the source repository. So here in green, you can have a little box with HTML. So it means that the source link has been checked, that there is a real source behind the source links. If you have it on red, it means that the source does not exist anymore, and in gray, that it has not been checked yet. So another question, how would you improve this resource detail page? Would you see something else missing? For example, would you need a section with a similar data set? For example, the same spatial extent, or the same topic, or that you will need to have the reference of data set with the same author. Okay, the ORCID of the author, the OI, so we will have all this on the source repository, but it is interesting to see what we could improve on SoilWise, because SoilWise does not have as much information as on the source repository, because we have the metadata. We are a catalog of metadata, so we harvest all the metadata that are available. So while you are answering this question, we are going to see how to extract the data. So now you click on the link, the source link, and the source link will lead you to the source repository. And here it is Bonares repository. So on Bonares repository now, you land on the page of the data set. If you want to check the metadata before downloading your data, you click on PDF, that's the process of Bonares. And then you will have the information about the data set here. You will have all the PDF report about metadata, and you will see which kind of experiment it is. So here, that's an experiment with 3 fertilizer treatments involving superphosphate and other kind of treatments. And so to have the data, now if your data is okay, you click on download, of course, and it will lead you to this window. You click on the term, you write your email because it's a process of Bonares to ask for the email, and on download, and you will have the data. And in this case, the data will look like this. So it's a CSV file with a kind of fertilization experiment and different variables. So that's how you can get the data. The data, you can get them from the source repository. So now we will move after this demonstration. So we'll move to the next question. So we'll go back on the SoilWise catalog. Just with the catalog in its current state, how useful is the catalog as is, without any more implementation on it? So I see that it's very useful for some of you. So of course, on the right, it's the maximum usefulness, and on the left, it's a minimum usefulness. So you can choose. I let several seconds. Okay, so we can see the mark approximately. And then I'm going to move to the next question to have other advices from you as of feedbacks. How likely is that would you use the SoilWise catalog as is in a coming period? For example, would you use it very often, not very often, and you can explain why also. So I let several seconds for that question. So very often, you can even give a quantitative value if you want. Punctually, not very often, okay. Very likely. Okay, and together with existing ones to discover more data. So SoilWise has the aim of capturing the data from other source repositories. A little early to know, probably sometimes, okay. And then we will move to the next question, still about the catalog. It is the ranking of the usefulness of the following features. Because we didn't implement all the features that were suggested by our stakeholders, and so we would like to know what is your favorite one. For example, do you need the name of the project of a given data or knowledge inside the metadata? It will mean the name of the project where from which the data or the knowledge comes from. Or would you need a data gaps identification? For example, if you want the data about saltwater content between 2000 and 2010, and that you have only 6 months of gap, would you need a tool to identify the gaps in the data? Do you need direct author contact form to contact the author directly from SoilWise? Would you need additional contextual informations, for example, climatic data coming with a given data? Would you need the visibility of the first 10 lines of a given data? Because currently the visibility of the data, you have it on the source repository. Or do you need, for example, the download of the catalog results in a CSV file so that you have all your results in a CSV file? And another one too is automatic data extraction from a peer-reviewed journal article, because a lot of journal articles have their data not on data repositories, but in supplementary material. So would you need a tool to extract automatically the data from supplementary material, or to scan the data from the PDF figure, for example, of the journal article? Well, that would be useful for you. So I let several seconds for you to make your ranking among these functionalities. And then we are going to stop this session about demonstration and to discuss about your feedback. So I am done for the demonstration. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because now we can start. I let the last question onto the Menti. And now I propose you to take your question, to discuss about your thoughts, about your ideas, if you have. And of course, you can either interact by oral, by raising the hand, or either you can put your question into the chat as well. So according to these demonstrations, what are your thoughts, your questions?
Yes, Céline, you can take a deep breath after this this very thorough and very detailed demonstration. Good job. I can say that in the chat box we had a lot of different questions during this demonstration, and I want to thank our colleagues Nick and Fenny for answering most of them. So if anyone has any other question or wants to raise their hands directly, feel free to do that.
Thank you, Biljana.
Thank you.
And also, if the answers that we gave are not satisfactory yet, and if you would like to know a little bit more, there's now a bit more space to discuss them.
So we have a new one, as you can see.
Yeah, so I see this is one from Mathieu Bravin. Currently, we have a few repositories that we are automatically harvesting. These are repositories that are trusted or that are projects from the Mission Soil project. So if these deliverables or these reports are related to a Mission Soil project, then we will automatically pick them up. We also have several dedicated repositories that we're automatically harvesting, but we do not harvest any repositories. So there are certain characteristics that we need. So for instance, it has to be a persistent repository. So after the project, it can't finish because then we lose this data. So we are looking at certain things that have to be in place before we can set up an API or set up an automatic harvesting of the repositories. So if you do have a repository that you think is interesting to be harvested by the SoilWise repository, please get into contact with us, and then we will have a discussion with you to see if we can set this up. But we, from the European Commission, we have certain strict directions, a certain strict scope for harvesting information. I hope this answers your question.
So thank you, Nick, for this explanation. So do you have any other questions? For example, have you tried to find any data? Do you find them? Or any more general questions too? Oh, I see that we have a new question on the chat. If possible, if it may be nice to include the license for the dataset, as some may be used for commercial purposes. So yes, the licenses are included for the dataset, but they are included onto the source repository. So it is harvested as a metadata onto the SoilWise repository. But indeed, the license is included into the dataset on the source repository.
Maybe just to add, also all the metadata that we display is only as good as it is provided by the data provider. So we can make all the functionality that we like, but in the end, the quality of the metadata only goes so far. So if the metadata is not provided, then we cannot extract it from the data itself. If we can access, then it's not there. So this is also a little bit of a call to action for everyone. I know it's sometimes a bit of a tedious task, but to really fill in your metadata, including your licenses, including your contact information, your keywords and everything, preferably using standard terminology and vocabularies for your data sets in whichever persistent repository you put it at, because that allows this system to function.
So I see that we have another question. So for the audience, would data providers benefit from a webinar on best metadata practices hosted by SoilWise? So anyone to enter?
Well, actually, this is Radu's question for the audience. So
Okay, yes, I
to
see.
respond, to give your response.
Okay, so is there any other question? So maybe everything was clear about the demonstration.
Maybe one more thing to add from my side, if well, maybe other questions pop up in the chat. There was one question on the right in the beginning by Adrian. Can SoilWise ensure data is standardized while not having access to the data itself? And yes, that is true. We do not harvest the data ourselves, so we do not make that link ourselves. So as Céline said, we offer the Hill Studio tool for that. Maybe a good practice could be that if a new user or the data provider itself already made that transformation from one data model to another one, so from your local project data to maybe Inspire or another one, usually the output, especially of Hill Studio, but maybe also of other programs, comes in the form of a file, so like a text file type thing. If you save that with your data set and your metadata at the source location, then we can maybe display it, and users can use that file to then do the transformation. So they can just run the transformation instead of having to really figure out what matches with what and to do the transformation themselves. So that would make everyone's life a lot easier as well. So it's maybe again a little bit of a best practice, and that would allow us, if a lot of people would do that, to see, can we go at some point to a system where you would have maybe even in time, outside of the scope of this project, a semi-automated data transformation. So if that file is there and you have your source data set, then you can download it in the original data format and model, and maybe also in the target one. That's still really on the horizon, but just to show you where this can go if we are all dedicated to use the tooling and to share these things.
So thank you, Fenny. I don't know if you want to discuss of another kind of detail, or if you have other questions. So I see that there is a new question onto the chat. So do you check if the data corresponds to the format, and also do you do reharvest? So I will let maybe the developer Nick answering, or someone from SoilWise team.
We do check if the link is alive. So this is something we've built a component that we go to these links, and depending on the status of the answer, the response we provide, is the link active or not. So this is what Céline mentioned with these green, red, and gray buttons next to the links. So this is something we do, but we do not look if the data corresponds to a format that is provided in the metadata or so. We don't actually go to the data itself. Everything is based on the metadata. About reharvesting, we do not as far as I know, reharvest. I don't think we've ever done a reharvest of certain records, but we do automatically go to repositories and check if there is new records and then harvest those new records. This is something we automatically do, but throwing away records, I don't think we do this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Nick, if you can elaborate a little bit, if a record is found in multiple repositories, maybe that is interesting for people to know. Yeah, so we also provide the sources of the repositories where they can be found. So if you go to a record, if you go to the detail of that record, then you will find all the sources where that record can be found. So we try to bring everything together for that one record from the different repositories. We are also looking into duplication to see if certain records are duplicates of themselves, duplicates of a certain record, and also trying to bring this together. But this is something we'll be looking at in the second iteration. But we do provide all the sources for a record where we find it.
Okay, so thank you, Nick, for all these explanations. So I don't know if you have any other topic to discuss. Or if all the questions have been done during the demonstration onto the chat. So no question, because in that case, we could move to the next slide and solve that question after, if there is some hot question coming after the presentations that are coming.
Céline, would you like me to share the screen?
Yes,
and the
yes, you can. Yes, it will be a good idea.
Yes.
So if you can start your presentation and start to introduce yourself just before.
Sure.
Thank you a lot, Biljana.
Thank you so much. Let me just open the full screen. Yes, there it is. I've been having some connection issues or audio issues, so if I start glitching, please let me know. And thank you. So my name is Biljana Tadić. I work for the Center for Innovation and Business at BioSense Institute that is located in Novi Sad in Serbia. So I'm part of SoilWise project, and I work for the dissemination and communication part. So today I will be presenting the importance of engagement and ways to interact with the project. So what basically we are trying to achieve, first of all, is to facilitate knowledge exchange between different actors related to soil, that is soil data. When it comes to engaging stakeholders, our main goal is to collect your data, your feedback actually, especially in this testing and validation phase of the first phase of the development of the SoilWise repository. Your feedback will be used as a reference for the next phase of the development of the repository itself. So we are going to ensure that the stakeholders' needs and concerns are integrated into the project. What we offer to interact with us, we have our communication channels. In the chat box, you will find a link to the SoilWise project's website. There you have the option to subscribe to our newsletter, so please use that option and follow us on our social media. So the links will be provided on the following slides. Other ways to engage stakeholders is the participation in SoilWise demonstration events of the platform, such as this one. So thank you all for joining today. And of course, joining the Mission Soil Cluster events and frequent workshops that we're going to organize and regional events to gather ongoing feedback. So which type of stakeholder are you? Our goal is to engage various groups of stakeholders, from land managers, policymakers, scientific communities such as yourselves, financial business partners, research and innovation networks, and the general public, such as consumers, for example. As for the SoilWise repository data use, you can be a data provider or data user, use the other stakeholder groups' data, or you can be both. You can provide your own data and, of course, use the data provided by the other stakeholders groups. So let us know which activities are of interest to you. So goals of SoilWise as a project and as a repository is to set an interactive stakeholder network to facilitate the various interested groups of stakeholders and to guide informed decision-making on soil towards 2030 goals of the Green Deal. Ways to interact with us, please join our workshops, webinars, training sessions that will be announced on our social media channels, on the website as well. Complete the surveys. Then there's a contact form on the SoilWise project's website. You can also fill in that if you have any questions. Follow our social media channels and provide information on your activities as well. In the following period, we will have also FAQ form available on our website, so you will have more information on that. Here you can scan the QR codes of our social media channels. We have a Facebook account, LinkedIn, and we are also present on X network. Apart from that, in the following period, you can find us on the following events. We will be present at Aquacon Soil Conference in Belgium in June and Journées d'études des sols, I hope I pronounced it correctly, JES 2025 in Geneva. So apart from that, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I would like to share another diagram. Okay, just let me know if you can see it. Okay, here it is. So this is a communication flow chart that aims to streamline the interaction with the Mission Soil projects and SoilWise. So you can also make the first contact via the contact form on the website. This email will be reviewed by the project manager. Then there's a question, are you a soil mission project? If yes, you will receive FAQs and DAK form. And if your questions are not answered, that is, in the FAQs, you can send a DK form, you can complete it to the user case 2, and follow the other steps presented here in the diagram. So I would maybe like to invite my colleague to help me here with this diagram. And if you have any questions, we can discuss it later on.
Maybe I can quickly go over it because it can look a bit daunting or confusing. But the thing is that, of course, we receive a lot of requirements, especially from the Mission Soil projects, as REA and GRC are also encouraging them to work with us to streamline this process and make the SoilWise repository as effective as possible. So it's sometimes very difficult to manage one by one requirement and comment. So we try to make it effective. So especially if you are from this community, but in general researchers and you want to interact with us, this is possible. And we have to see how the interaction fits best with the timeline of the project. So we have phases in which we concentrate the activities in gathering requirements that will then be developed in different components to address those requirements. And we have phases where we validate what's been developed or we demonstrate this. So depending on which stage you are also in your project implementation, it fits better with one phase or the other. And by providing this information in the form that we will send you in case you contact us, then we know to whom we have to put you in contact with from SoilWise Consortium and where would you fit best in our timeline, and that fits also with you. So this will be also communicated on the website, but to make it simple, you can contact us if you would like to work with us, and you will receive a follow-up email with more information. Thanks, Biljana, for sharing this.
Thank you, Radu, for providing more information, as we already had some requests for collaboration. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Okay, so if there is no questions, maybe we are going to move to the next talk, and we are going
continue sharing.
So. Yes, just we keep your sharing, and it will be the demonstrations on how to realize the feedback on SoilWise. So Nick, it's your presentation. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, so Nick Berkvens, I'm the technical manager on the project. So I will very briefly present how you can provide feedback on using the SoilWise catalog. So next slide, please. As you've already seen, or hopefully seen during the demonstrations, we've provided a Hotjar widget feedback widget. So you see this on the right part of the screen, the green feedback widget. If you click on that widget, then you will be asked a few questions to provide your feedback on the user experience. So next slide, please. So we've provided several questions that you can go through. It's very quickly. You can go through asking about your experience, ranking certain things, evaluating certain things. And then next slide, please. And also, if you have any suggestions about new features or bugs or things that you've noticed that are not correct or that could be better, please provide them in these open text text boxes, and then we will surely have a look at it. And then, yes, thank you. Next slide. You can also contact us by the contact form. So on the website at the upper right corner, you have the contact form that you can use, or you can send an email to this email address. So with these three methods, we hope you can contact us with certain things that you think can improve on the catalog. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Nick. So if there are no questions, we are going then to pass at the last part for the closing remarks and the wrap-up. So I'm going to keep the screen, and so next slide, please. So to close the meeting, we are going to ask you several questions about your general needs. Firstly, you had questions about the evaluations of the SoilWise repositories, and now we are going to go in more general questions. So we'll let several seconds so that you can scan the QR code onto the screen, or that you can enter the menti.com website with the following code. And then I'm going to start this last slide. So next slide, please. So to sum up about the SoilWise repository, so SoilWise aims at being a single point for data and knowledge discovery. So as you could understand, it's not a data repository. It imports metadata from various sources repositories. So what we displayed you from the beginning of this webinar was on the data user point of view. It's the use of SoilWise as data user. But if you want to be aligned with SoilWise as data provider, you just have to use trustworthy repositories, such as national ones, universities. It can be a Dataverse, for example, or Zenodo. Because if OpenAir, for example, or Inspire, GeoPortal is aware of given repository, then it will automatically pick up the resource if it fits the filter. So more precisely, next slide, please. Here are the main catalogs and source repositories that are harvested by SoilWise. So we have different kinds of sources. You have the European Commission governed catalogs and repositories here with, for example, DAG, Copernicus, Cordis, EA, Inspire. You also have national and regional portals. You have also a group of Scholar repositories with OpenAir, who is indirectly harvesting the dataverse, for example, the French dataverses for research. You have Zenodo, and you have institutional catalogs and repositories such as Bonares, FAO, ISRIC, and more dedicated repository for the Soil Mission Horizon Europe projects, such as Islander, Prep Soil, EDP Soil. So, among all these repositories, and if you do not find any data or knowledge on SoilWise, so if you think a persistent repository is missing, just let your feedback onto the repository like Nick explained you before, or send us an email at solwise@biosense.rs, and we will do what we can do with this new reference of repository. And more precisely, so I'm going now to ask you to take your Menti. Since SoilWise is foreseen to be integrated to USO, from a user perspective, we'll have this question for you. Which repository should be harvested? Do you have any reference of repository that should be harvested from a user perspective? So we have here a proposition of EDA4 base or geocatalog.fr. So if you have any proposition, you can write them on the Menti so that we can improve our data and knowledge capture. So we have Soil Information System for Ireland, for example. So I let several seconds for this question. French Soil Science Society repository. AgroPortal for vocabularies. So if you have any suggestion, you can either write them now, or you can also, as I said, let a feedback or contact us also by email. So now I will move to the next slide, please, Biljana. So on the second side, SoilWise is also aiming at helping for data harmonization by creating Soil GeoPackage template to help you share your data in agreement with Inspire guidelines, and to create glossary and code list repository to allow the alignment between the different glossaries used in the different scientific domains. And finally, for data harmonization, and more specifically for data transformation, we also have a module called Health Studio, which is developed by our colleagues from WeTransform Society. And so the Health Studio software has a user-friendly interface, as you can see on this screen, allowing you to change the format of your data. So you can take null data and transforming its format to another format of data, such as a project-specific format data, for example, or another kind of national format data. And with that, you could do the mapping of your different models of data. This Health Studio software is done mainly to fit to the Inspire format data, but you can also use it for other kind of format. So now we will have another question for you on the Menti. So according to these explanations about the Health Studio software, do you need automatic data transformation tool, such like Health Studio, to transform your local data, your local format to Inspire format or to other format that you could decide? Knowing that in the community, in the scientific community, we are very familiar with other kind of softwares, for example, like R Studio, which requires little programming skills, but we use to use this kind of tool to make such transformation. So this is another proposition of a tool involving a user-friendly interface without programming. So I let several seconds on this. And then if everybody had answered to this question, I will move to the next slide and to know a little bit more about your global needs. So according to, for the Menti, we go back to the Menti. Globally speaking, according to your needs, what would be the most useful functionalities in the one that we propose? Because currently, up to now, we propose functionalities really dedicated to the SoilWise source code, to the source repository as data user. And so we would like to know, for example, if a ChatGPT-like tool for soil knowledge will be interesting for you as scientist, and if you would need guidances on metadata as data provider. So do you need to be informed on the metadata standard, for example, of the vocabularies, the way we have to annotate the metadata, their standardization? And would you need two guidances also on the sustainability of your databases or your data and knowledge hub? For example, when I am in a project that I'm creating local databases or a local hub for the project, which can have, for example, educational material on it too, what will be the future for this kind of repository? Because after the project, it will not live anymore. So would you need any guidance to know what to do with this kind of databases? So I let several seconds so that you can make your ranking. And we have as a more ranked answer, it is the guidances on metadata annotation and data standardization after the guidances on sustainability of data and knowledge hubs after the project, and the ChatGPT-like tool in third proposition. So we will go now to the next question. So question. And so the next question is, as Biljana explained, the stakeholder engagement. So if you wish now to be part of the SoilWise stakeholders, to test, for example, SoilWise, or to give your advice, or to be reached just so that we can know more about your needs more precisely, if you are ready to participate to SoilWise improvements, let us your email on this question, and then we will contact you back to organize other hands-on sessions or testing sessions, for example. So I let several seconds one more time so that you can answer, you can let your email. And then just after that, we will have the open question that will stay open after this webinar. So I let several seconds for the email addresses. And then we will move to the next slide, which is, the next question, excuse me, Biljana. To ensure for the next question, to ensure SoilWise is useful for you, what added value would you expect, generally speaking, on SoilWise? Would you expect SoilWise to increase the speed of a given search? Would you expect SoilWise to help you for standardization? What is the added value that SoilWise could offer you? So there is not answer yet. So maybe standardization, for example. So I don't know if you have a proposition of added value. So I see guidance also for soil researcher for the publication and exploitation of soil data, to monitor how often our data set appears in searches, how often it is clicked through. So it's monitoring, find and access more and more relevant soil data and knowledge. by providing good search experience, find data sets more easily. That's what we aim to do indeed. And that's why also we need your feedback for the data capture, to provide links to all databases containing the wanted data and guidance one more time. Okay. So thank you a lot. And now we will move to the last question. And for this question, I will let it open until the end of the webinar because it's very general. It is the concept of a user story. So the question is, what is your specific needs as data and knowledge users or providers? So you can formulate your need either by writing freely what you want, or you can formulate also by the proposition as a data scientist, let's say, I want to trigger the harvest, for example, so that I have my results fastly exposed on SoilWise. So it is a way of writing your needs. So you can either express yourself freely onto this question, either choosing to formulate as a user story with the concept of role, action, and reason. It's really up to you. So we will let this question open after the end of the webinar. And then I see that the time is turning. So next slide this time, please. We are going to close this meeting. So really thank you for your participation. We hope that it was useful for you, that you have all the informations you need to use SoilWise. And so, as Biljana said, you can follow us on the social networks, and you have now all the information to contact us. So again, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, Xavier. Thank you.